welcome to another episode of The Grow Show with Glenn.
And Keisha.
Yes, we are literally on our
last letter.
which is about 14
episode.
Wow.
14 episode. Episode number 14.
That's where we are.
Time flowed.
Time
flowed. Flied.
It's flown.
Listen. Okay, let's dive in. So this is the final letter of the evolved framework, and that's D.
Yes.
And D stands for double down.
Double down with the Davises.
Double down with the Davises. That sounds like a good show, right?
That's a whole different show.
So the topic is, now that you've evolved, don't flinch.
Wow.
Do not flinch. You've done the work. You've evolved. Now you want to be able to stay in the game, right? Evolving is easy. Staying evolved. Easier.
Yeah.
Staying evolved is what separates the talkers from the builders, right? So this final episode, we're going to look at how do we double down? How do we recommit? How do we lean in? How do we do not flinch?
And
maintain
a consistency
Yes.
that don't have you going back to the old person, the old state.
Absolutely. And that's really what doubling down is, right? When you look at what does doubling down mean, it's you're not negotiating with the old version of you.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing the new, evolved person right now. And it's really deciding that you are who you say you are, who you've evolved into, and everything else is past. Yeah? What would you say about that?
It kind of reminds me of a thing that we would always say, or people would always say, I'm Christian, but I can go back to my old ways for a couple of minutes, or I can go, no, that's not how it works. Once you leave that old state and that old man, you want to remain in a state of being evolved. And so the way I handled situation before, in my old state, I can't handle it the same way. And I can't go back and reach for it conveniently and then come back in my evolved state. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about. There's going to be moments and times where you're tempted to go back, right? Whatever that looks like for you, it can be because it's hard, because life is life-in, because money is not flowing, because we talked about making vision-led decisions. You need money for vision-led decisions. That's your line. And it's so easy to go back to what you've been comfortable with. Yeah. And so this episode is about doubling down, even if you feel like you're wobbling. Yeah. You're not going backwards. And we have a stay frame, but before we do, I waited for this episode to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it.
Because we had an argument. That was an argument recently. And you know what that argument was about,
you go ahead now. You can bring out, you can out us and out me on national TV.
I was like, should I tell him I want to bring this up on this episode?
No,
I intentionally did not tell you because I wanted to have an honest conversation.
So if you didn't do it on here, it wouldn't have been on.
No, we would have had the conversation.
All right.
So I love this episode because
get to it, on. Because
I was operating from a place. So let me give the framework, right? So do you want me to give the framework?
No, just go ahead and say what it is and move into it.
We were having a conversation around pricing. Mm-hmm. I had asked Glenn, so I submitted a proposal to a client and with the price. Mm-hmm. And so I asked Glenn, I said, okay, touch and agree that this client will come with this price that and he's like, what was the price? I said, I don't want to tell you. And I knew why I didn't want to tell him. But anyway, I said, I don't want to tell you. And he's like, what's the price? What's the price? And I told him the price. And he was like, okay, we can touch and agree. And then immediately he was like,
touch and agree on the price.
We touch and agree. And then immediately he's like, so what if they accept $2,000 less? I was like, no. I'm not even having that conversation.
No, it ain't $2,000.
Yes, it was $2,000 less.
It's not $2,000.
We ain't found the numbers.
Oh yeah, the numbers. Yes, right. It was $2,000 less.
And I'm like, I'm not even having a conversation because I set the price. It was already less than the standard that I would usually do. And then, of course, he got upset at me, right?
No, you got upset at me. You got upset at me by saying, I didn't ask you for all of that. I only asked you to touch and agree with me with this number.
Exactly. I didn't ask you to negotiate the price with me. We already said we won this price.
But being in business and dealing with contracts, and anybody who deal with contracts can tell you, and you deal with contracts, when you make an offer, you always have to be prepared that there's a possibility for a counter offer. No, let me finish.
Okay,
There's a
finish.
possibility for a counter offer.
This is real life, y'all. This is real life
and this is
discussion
what
of this
happens.
issue. Go
There
ahead,
is
sir.
a possibility for a counter offer. You don't want to go in to say, well, that's my only offer. And I was trying to get from you to say, what is the figure that I will not go below? That's all I was trying to get from you. So if they come back and say, we don't have the resources or the capacity to pay that, but we're willing to pay this, and you'll be like, no, I can't go below this. I can probably do this, but I won't go below that. You wasn't trying to hear that. That's a part of negotiation and a part of doing business. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to come back or possibly come back and say, you know, we can't offer this, and then you're still going to have to come back to figure out what you will
Well,
accept.
I was prepared to cross that bridge when it came there. Because
And I
when
was
we
prepared
talk,
to deal with it up front.
no, when we talk about not flinching, y'all, this is what I mean by not flinching. If I have evolved to the place where my reputation, my results, my presence, my work speaks for itself. The evolved me says I am not going to charge starting prices when they expect premium. The person said, your work, we know you are excellent in this field, so I giving you an excellent price. The evolved self is not flinching when it comes to the decision. Now, they come back, then we'll have a conversation then, but I was not even entertaining a
then
reduction
why
of
you
price.
coming to me then?
All I said was
Because if
let's
you come
touch
to
and
me,
agree.
if you come to me, you're gonna get realness. You're gonna get a business decision. I don't just make a decision and say, oh, I'm giving them the contract and they either take it or leave it. I'm gonna go into it knowing what I will not accept if they come back. And so I have all that in mind already. So when they come back and say, well, we only could pay X, I say, well, I respectfully decline.
Yeah, I come to you to touch and agree on that one price. And so anyway, so that was our little thing that we had never established, but we established it today. But that was for me operating from an evolved self and recognizing that I was not going to flinch on the price.
But not flinching on the price mean that you were actually saying to them, X amount I put forward, I will not accept anything else. That's what you were saying? Okay. All right. Just remember, we going on vacation, and
I
that's
know,
plenty
I know.
money. All right.
I know that's what he was
All right.
basing this on.
Back to the. Just remember, we going on an expensive vacation.
I knew that's what he was
All right.
operating from. And so anyway, let's go into the stay framework.
And you want bougie vacation, so remember that.
So if you are tempted to flinch, like Glenn wanted me to flinch, or fall back on who you've become, let me give you a reminder to hold to the line, right? So we have a stay framework, and if you know anything about us, we could give you a framework. And I am staying with my prices, and let me show you.
You can framework them with that. That's what they tell you in the car.
Let's talk about it. So the
All right.
S in stay being set the standards again, right? Do not slip. Glenn, do not slip. Reinforce who you said you are and what value you say you're bringing. Do not slip. Every new level demands new reinforcement. Ask yourself, what does the evolved version of me no longer tolerate? And for me, I no longer tolerate these conversations with clients who will pay the experts. We're talking about Bahamian clients now. I know we have an international audience, but who would pay the experts?
Because the international audience usually pay you once.
The
you put a
international
figure,
audience don't question
They don't
it.
question, they don't flinch. No, they don't. I
And
noticed
so
that.
to my Bahamian audience who will call me because they want excellent work and then turn around and say, no, I don't have the capacity
and
for
then
that
if
anymore.
You are dealing with a government entity. That
Really?
situation was a government
That's okay.
entity. And so we know
That's-
that anyway.
Set the standard again.
Yes, set the standards again.
Is there anything that you know will no longer tolerate, but you need to reset the
And
standards
I've
again?
done it. I've done it a year ago when I said, listen, if you call me to speak, I am not going to speak for pennies anymore. Unless I determine that I am going to give back, I will do it. And so don't ask me to speak for pennies.
Yeah.
Now, if I volunteer and say, you know what, I'm coming to speak or I want to give my time and my service, that's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer to be home and doing nothing than to speak for less or to do work for less at
Yeah,
this
I would
point
do work for
in
less
my
if
career.
I want to give back.
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's S. Y'all say passionate, but
yeah.
I was ready for this S. So you
You saved that. That thing said this is the moment in your life you was waiting for. You saved that all week. This happened from Tuesday. And you ain't saying nothing to me. And you wait to come here to say it. But I like it.
anyway.
I love it.
Anyway, T is trust the transformation, even when it's quiet, even when it's uncomfortable. The fruit doesn't show up right away. And we know this, right? Even in the literal terms, fruit doesn't take, it's not immediate. Growth often feels like nothing is happening right before everything is shifts.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I've had clients who could relate to this. They have to trust that those prices that they're setting that's higher, people are going to start to say no first.
Initially, yes.
Initially. And that's so scary. Because they're like, Jesus, I'm giving up money. Like people need, and then there's going to be a point where, oh, you in this new energy shift because you have trusted that, hey, this is my evolved self, this is my standard. And then eventually people start to come at it. But you have to make room for those people.
And it's not even just about the money, it's about the value. You have to be able to justify your value and the value that you're adding to the client who is paying.
Absolutely. So trust the transformation. When it's uncomfortable, sit in that discomfort. Don't go back.
And then from a relationship standpoint, you want to make sure that you understand who you are as a person, what you bring into the table, what value you bring into the table.
Yep.
Yeah. And so when you say you will not settle, and I talked about my list, but there were some things that I would not take off my list. Right? I knew I wanted somebody who was spiritual.
Yeah, for sure.
And spiritual means different thing for different person. I needed somebody in church. I didn't just want somebody or anybody. You know, I needed somebody who liked people. Because
You like to settle.
I needed somebody who liked people, because if I'm going to be around people and people in a lot, I want you to be okay. You don't have to people along with me, but be okay with the fact that I'm people.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that's T, trust the transformation. A is act evolved anyway, right? Even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel like showing up in a particular way, even when you don't feel like, or feel like you cannot say, stand in your power, even if you don't feel like saying no to a client, do it anyway, right? So embodiment of this new evolved version is not about, it's about identity, not emotion. It's not about how you feel. It's, look, I am operating at a different level. I have chosen to stay in this particular area. I may not feel like saying it, especially when the money running low and this husband of mine saying vacation money is needed. But I'm choosing to stay evolved anyway, or act evolved anyway. Show up, especially on those off days.
And you know what I always would say to you, my motto is, professionals do as professionals must. And so show up as the professional. Life is life, and we're not negating that. And a lot of things we're dealing with. But when you get on that job, you're a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah? When you get in front of that client, you're a professional. Like just before I came here, one of my students rubbed me the wrong way. And I was just about to tell him, bye. Who you take? And so the professional in me recrafted my because Dan was about to say, well, who the hell you think you are? The professional in me saying, this is an adult, and even though his tone and everything rubbed me the wrong way, I want to be and maintain the professional with the conversation, because he really took me.
Act that person anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sometimes not always easy.
Yeah.
And that goes back to step number 1. Stay in the transformation. Set that
stay in the
standard
real you.
again. And it's a daily discipline. It's a daily
Consistent
practice. It's a daily reminder. And it's going to remain that way until it becomes normal.
Yeah.
Right?
And even with marriage, I just want to say this before we go along. Even with marriages come with a lot. When you're married, we had a conference on Friday, and I told the audience, being married is a discipline.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to stay the course, and you have to be able to know when to act without, and I think you did that earlier this week, so we didn't have to get bent out of shape with our discussion that we differed on. And sometimes you have to be okay with disagreeing
Yeah.
and not come into an agreement, but don't let it separate the marriage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. I do have an update on that, but I'm not going to tell you, okay?
Okay.
Because you said don't
You
tell
could
you.
tell me on camera.
You know, you don't. You said
don't
not
tell
to
me-
tell you.
You don't tell me everything else.
He was like,
In
I
my
don't know
touch, I
nothing
was like,
about
you know
it.
what? That's your business. You deal with it. You don't want my input?
But me ain't going there. You'll never know the update.
That's all right. I just need to see the money.
So why in the state framework is yield nothing you've gained, right? Do not flinch. Do not go back. Do not water it down. You've claimed this identity. You've claimed whatever it is. Fill in the blank. Keep it.
Yeah. And don't be so quick to give it up when it gets rough.
Yeah.
Because we tend to do that when it gets rough. Because it was easier in the before state where you were comfortable, it's easy to just go back to that.
Yeah. Because you're closer to the old version of
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
than being really cemented in the newer version.
And then the old version didn't have this higher standard, and the old version didn't require all of this. And so it's easier to say, you know what?
Yeah.
Go back to the
Yeah.
old way.
So you don't want to negotiate the new you to fit into old rooms.
Yeah.
I remember having a client, we were looking at her pricing, and so we had set her new pricing during the whole pricing overhaul work. And so she got a client, and she was asking me, she gave the client a price, and so she was asking me about what should she tell the client, this new client reached out. And I said, why are you asking me that? I said, why are you asking me what the price is? I thought we already decided on the price. I thought this was already done. And she's like, oh my God, yes, Keisha, you're right. I still thinking back about, boys. So she was still dancing between her
Takes
new
time,
price
though.
versus her old price. And so she caught herself. And I called her out, and she was like, you're right. She said, I don't even know. He didn't even ask me for the lower rate. I just assumed like she was just at this real transitional stage. And so it's always easy to go back. And so you also need people in your corner, in your community, to remind you what you've decided, who have you decided to be, where did you say you were going, and don't allow you to go backwards. That's an important part as well. Otherwise, you probably will find yourself going backwards.
But it's really not easy to maintain when you have evolved to a certain level. And so the fight is harder. And so
Yes.
you now have to be able to put in more. And then a community is always a good thing.
Community.
And I think
Community
that's
approach.
what you do well too. You just have a community that helps you to be able to deal. When you and
Yeah.
your girls get on the phone, y'all ain't gossiping about I love that about you. Y'all ain't gossiping about nobody, y'all ain't talking nobody business. You're all trying to figure out strategies and how to improve yourself. And I just love it.
Yeah, we ain't going backwards.
Yeah.
So we are committed to holding each other
Yeah.
towards the evolved self that we're working on. We
Yeah.
remind each other very often.
Shout out to Charmaine and Cherie.
Yes, shout out to you guys, or you ladies, you folks. So I want to end with this. Staying evolved is a choice, and it's making that choice every single day, even when it's inconvenient. So I really want you to look at, and it's so interesting, we are in the middle of the year, and many of us, we started this season, the beginning of the year, just about to the beginning of the year. So many of you made decisions around what you want your evolved self to look like. And you've set those goals, those intentions, whatever, that vision that you say. And I want you to go back and reflect.
Revisit them.
Revisit it and ask yourself, did you flinch? Did you fall back into old habits
Yeah.
and old standards? Or are you staying firm
Yeah.
to what you say you were going to do?
And even if you're not at the level that you say you want to be, how far away or how close am I? Or
Yeah.
how far am I from the old self?
Yeah. And let us know. Comment
Yeah.
below. Let us know what's coming up for you. And we hope that you've enjoyed this evolved season. We are so excited. We are going to do a recap of this entire season, so stay tuned for that. But I encourage you to really spend the time going through the episodes. If you've not watched all of the episodes, go and watch all of the episodes. They build on each other, and decide to remain evolved.
Double down.
Double down.
Don't flinch.
Don't flinch.
And until then,
Stay evolved.
stay evolved.